Yahuwah's Torah, Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 28. Now guard and hear all these things which I command you, that it may go well with you and with your children after you forever, when you do that which is good and right in the sight of Yahuwah Almighty. When Yahuwah Almighty shall cut off the nation from before you, wherever you go to possess them, you shall succeed them, and you shall dwell in their land. Take heed to yourself, that you be not trapped by following after them, learning their ways, custom, participating in their system of things. After that they may be destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. You shall not do so unto Yahuwah Almighty. For every abomination to Yahuwah, which he hates, have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters have they murdered and sacrificed to their Elohim. 32. What things whatsoever I command you, guard to do it. You shall not add to my word, nor should you diminish from it. Shalom, Yasharel, Elder DFG. Hey, my brothers and sisters. Again, that was reading from the Torah, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 12. And I felt the inspiration of Yahuwah, hearing his word better said, to start, this teaching today from exactly right there. Because in the world that we in, with so much going on, if you have eyes to see, if you have ears to hear, many of you don't, but those of us who do, then it should be painfully aware to us that Yahuwah is warning this earth and warning every single person on this earth that he is about to destroy this whole thing. And many of our people are still walking, in this, how you say, a fog. The fog of war, a better way to say it. They're in the fog of war. The battle is going on all over the place. Mayhem is happening. Everything is crashing. The economies are falling. Families are no longer families. The neighbor is now the adversary. The truth is the lie now, and a lie is embraced, as the truth. It's the fog of war. In other words, reality has been suspended for surreal, what you say, conjured realities. What is a conjured reality? It's the reality. It's any reality that a person, creates for themselves, or what I would call one's own perception of the world, conjuring it up. Conjuring up what is right and conjuring up what is wrong. Exactly what we were told not to do in this same chapter in verse 8. It said, when we were heathens, when we were unlearned, when we were serving the gods of the nations, the gods of everywhere we lived, the gods of our forefathers, the gods of our fathers today, that we were no longer to behave in that manner anymore, that our behavior was to have changed completely, totally, so definitively that we will become totally new in the way we conduct ourselves as it relates to self. Because that's what the nations around us do. He said the same thing to us in the book of the same, the Torah of Yahuwah in Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 14. He said that these people, were sorcerers and divinators. And now it's becoming, so obvious to the righteous remnant, to those of us whose hearts are perfect before Yahuwah, that it's painful to see. So painful that, quite frankly, many of us don't want to be here anymore. just being transparent about it, being wide open about it. Don't even want to be here anymore. But we also know that we have to wait on Yahuwah. We know that he said, those that wait on him. He said in the process, he would keep us strong enough, to get through, to go through this fire. But he did say, this place would burn. And he said he's going to burn it for the very reason. They murder children. We're hearing all about that now. It's coming out. They eat babies. Which we shouldn't have been totally surprised, because if we had been studying in the Torah, there are many examples of men, in some cases, unfortunately, Israelites, eating the flesh of their own children. It's a part of the damnation that Yahuwah put upon us, because he told us, don't become distracted by this world. Don't become distracted by the behavior of those nations all over this earth. It doesn't matter if you're in Papua New Guinea or if you're in, Buenos Aires, Argentina. He said, don't do it. Stay away from it. He said, when I open up your eyes to see, I want you to see me, not yourself anymore. I want you to see me. I want you to see, what I have in store for you. And what I have in store for you is better than anything on this earth that the wicked could give you. But like our forefathers, Israel refused to listen. So here we sit, right here, 2026, February. And things are going so horrific that most of Israel just chooses to ignore it. I'm just going to pretend like everything is normal. I'm just going to keep functioning, like I don't see it. And unfortunately, let me tell you something. If that's you, then you are in the witchcraft. You are being seduced by seducing spirits, doctrines of devils, better said. Their ways, not what you're reading anymore, is what you're believing, the way you're behaving, the way you're managing your life. Not understanding when you manage your life outside of this Torah, you're causing strife between you and Yahuwah. You're causing strife between all of his blessings. And it doesn't matter how hard you try to pretend that it's not falling apart. Your behavior is just going to be the equivalent of putting money in bags with holes in it. You're just going to be wasting resources over and over. You're going to waste your time. You're going to waste your resource. And even worse, waste your love. I was listening to some heathens talking earlier this morning, like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I overheard them talking, and they were talking about, how that nothing that men see on this earth. And these were two pretty smart, heathens, I'd say very intelligent. And they were acknowledging, they said, everything is a mirage. None of this stuff is real to the degree that if you buy into it, you'll believe it. If you succumb to it, you'll believe it. If you participate in it, it's obvious you're believing it. And they were talking about how that everything is just an illusion. Nothing is what it appears to be. And how that, the whole world is under that seduction. Everywhere, without exception. Nationalities, nations, all of them. In every single place. See, all these systems that they set up, that is a part of their sorcery, their court system, sorcery. Government, sorcery. Medical industry, sorcery. Political sorcery. I know I said that. Military sorcery. Educational sorcery. Financial sorcery. All being controlled by this entity called religion. I called it an entity. This entity, this all hidden hand. People say the hidden hand that nobody can see. It's religion. Not the church, not Catholic, not Baptist, no. Religion is another word for the gods. Let me say that to you again, if you haven't heard this before. Religion is another word for the gods, G-O-D-S. All the competing gods on this earth, all fighting for position, all fighting for power, all fighting for control. All of them are anti-Yahuwah. And everyone who participates in it is in the illusion. They're burning in this fire and don't even know that the fire has begun. You know, it reminds me, brothers and sisters, of the metaphor with the frog that you put in a pot on the stove in cold water, and then you turn on the burner and you turn that fire up little at a time. You turn the heat up, and the frog just sits there because it's comfortable. It's in water. And you turn it up and you just keep it little by little by little. And ultimately the water becomes a ball. And the frog gets boiled to death because at no point that he realizes, because it's so subtle, that he's trapped. And that's how man is. So distracted, little bit by little. Tell yourself lies, little by little, believing lies, little by little. And all of a sudden, your whole existence is predicated on a lie, like the frog. You're trapped in what they call a matrix, and you can't get out, no matter how hard you try. The frog can't get out because when that heat gets so hot, by the time you realize that heat is so high, his whole body goes into shock. So everything is neutralizing. A form of paralysis overtakes him. And the same thing with many of our people, many of the people on the earth. They're in a paralysis. We call it zombie-like state. But they don't even know that they're going to die. They have no idea it's going to be a horrible death. They have no idea, brothers and sisters. And by the time they awaken to it, it's far, far, far too late. You know, some of you probably already heard Jesse Jackson died today. You know, Mr. Rainbow Coalition himself. Because I study history, and you all know that, world history, American history, so-called African American history. We are Israel. And I know about Jesse Jackson when Jesse Jackson was in his early 20s. Dr. King and Jesse Jackson was on Dr. King's staff when he came from Chicago to go work down in Atlanta, the SCLC. And Jesse Jackson came up in there like a firecracker. But he was so out of order that Dr. King had to call his father and have his father put Jesse Jackson in his place because Jesse Jackson was so disrespectful, so busy trying to overtake Dr. King. And this is true. There's a book called The Wall. Let me show you this. I'm not going to show you the depths of this book, but I want to show you. It's like I said, where are the receipts, Howdy? This book is called The Wall Come Tumbling Down. See that guy right there? That's Dr. Ralph Abernathy. When Dr. King was the pastor of Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama, he was a pastor, I can't think of the name of his church, but it was in Montgomery, Alabama. And they were two young, hotshot preachers, both of them 25, 26 years old. Dr. King, this man went to jail with Dr. King. See, he's behind bars right here. But this guy, Dr. King, have you ever heard that I've been to the mountaintop speech? You'll hear this man said, Dr. King, Martin Luther King, he said, is the best friend. Dr. King said about Ralph Abernathy. He said, Abernathy is the best friend I have in the whole world. I want to show you one more picture here. Things falling out, but that's okay. See that picture there? See Dr. King? I guess that'll be to the far right of what you're looking at. You see Ralph Abernathy. This man here, inside of this book, talks about his whole experience, his whole life shared with Dr. King. When Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, the Lorraine Hotel, this man and Dr. King were roommates. They were in the same room. Matter of fact, this guy was standing on the balcony while Dr. King was, grooming himself before they went to dinner, and Jesse Jackson was the one who called Dr. King out on the balcony and asked him what time was dinner. And when Dr. King walked out on the balcony, he was shot in the head. Now, you can put that and say, well, Jesse Jackson called him on the balcony, and as soon as he walked out on the balcony, he pretty much gets his head blown off. That would not be an incorrect statement. Now, if you want to tie Jesse Jackson into the assassination, that might be something that's alleged, and you have to use your own, insight. But there's a whole story about it. And the whole time he was with Dr. King, he was trying to undermine Dr. King. Dr. King was in his late 30s, Jesse Jackson again, mid-20s. And as soon as Dr. King was assassinated, who did come up to the top? You want to know who the conspirator is, who was the undermining one, who was the fox in the hen house, so to speak. Find out what happens when the leader is gone, who comes up behind that leader. Who came up without paying the price? Who came up without paying the cost behind that leader? Who just rise suddenly? Well, it was Jesse Jackson. King was assassinated in 1968. Jesse Jackson was running for president in the 80s. My memory serves me correctly. Mid-80s. From nothing to something. So before you start all that cracker-tiring tears and, Jesse Jackson this, no, he was wicked in his 20s, and he never stopped being wicked. He was a hustler. He was a Chicago gangster. Him and Trump were road buddies. There's videos with him and Trump sitting there, and Trump telling everybody, well, Jesse Jackson, by the time I leave out here, he said, I'm going to have to check my pockets. That's what he thought about Jesse Jackson. The crook Trump thought Jesse Jackson was a bigger crook than himself. Warlocks, witches. And I have to bring this out because there'll be many of our brothers and sisters today, are going through this so-called period of mourning behind Jesse Jackson, because the press going to play him up as this big civil rights leader and this big, agent of change and the Rainbow Coalition and all this stuff. He was nothing but a goddamn, I could say some other things like pedophile and undercover down low and gangster, hustler, thief. Allegedly. But again, you don't have to take my word for it. I wrote this quote down, and this is what I put here, brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? I don't need validation from a world that lies. You might want to remember that too. Because this is how I feel about it. I do not need to be validated in a world of a bunch of liars. See this walk that I'm doing for you, I'm never going to stop this walk. It doesn't matter who comes and who goes. I'm never going to stop. It doesn't matter who agree or disagree with what I say and what I teach. And I say that because I know who gave me this assignment. And the one who gave me this assignment is not a liar. Hallelujah to that. He doesn't, change his mind because of the way he feels. If he said it, he does it. Unlike the gods and those who follow the gods of this world. And we were told clearly by Yahuwah, learn not their ways. You can't get that wrong. If you try to get it wrong, you can't get it wrong. He said, don't do it. But Israel, like the rest of the world, without question, has learned their ways, practiced their ways, and become in similitude just like them. And it's painful, to the few of us who have to stand here and see it. Have to, deal with the reality that people in our own families have rejected us for this truth that we stand on. But yet we're still here. And again, I don't need validation from a world of a nation or world or people that are a bunch of liars. This whole world again, we were warned by Yahuwah about them. The witchcraft, the sorcery, the killing, the eating of children. And as we see the conversation, of course, right now with the Epstein files and the distraction that it is, it's causing, because they're not going to do anything about anything. Trust me. If you go and you look, and I wouldn't waste a whole lot of time over there, everybody has something to say as soon as everybody has something to say until they start talking. If you look, look at the titles of the video. Oh, it's out. Everybody got something to say and they'll have these people on camera, these political people, these pundits, these historians, these people who studied Epstein, all the people. And as soon as that mic turns on, they say absolutely nothing. Filibustering. You know what filibustering, in case you don't know what that means, it's just distraction, just rhetoric. They never, ever expose. I saw something on Redacted. They started talking, and all of a sudden, Clayton, the fool husband of Natalie, he gets on there and started talking about, well, there's an article that said Donald Trump reported in 2006 Jeffrey Epstein as being a pedophile. And I like it. But then they got someone talking about that, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the former congresswoman, saying that she went to Trump and said, Trump, aren't you going to drain the swamp? And why don't you start with the Epstein? Trump said, she said, Trump told her purpose. This is what she said allegedly. Trump said, well, I have too many billionaires. That would hurt too many people if I exposed that. So therefore, you're going to have to leave that alone. This is the sorcery that we talk about. This is the witchcraft that Yahuwah talks about. This is the system that he told us that we were not supposed to partake in. And to ensure that he gave us at least a fighting chance, brothers and sisters, he gave us his prophet and he gave us his Torah. And he said there will be many false prophets who will come. And they will challenge his prophet. You think about it. We read about that, in what is that? I think it's 1 Kings, brothers and sisters, when Jehoshaphat, it's 1 Chronicles, when Jehoshaphat and Ahab were trying to determine whether or not they should go to battle together. And if you remember, Jehoshaphat had 400 prophets around him. All of them telling him what he wanted to hear. All lying. And when Ahab came, Ahab asked him, do you have any other prophets than these? And the conversation went back and forth. And finally they sent for, the prophet of Yahuwah, the real prophet of Yahuwah, who proceeded to tell, both of them that one of y'all going to die. And they threw him in jail for that. See, in a world full of liars, the truth is appalled. In a world full of liars and liars, the truth is the enemy. In a world full of false teachers, false educators. What I mean by false, I'm talking about wicked. Let me be careful here. Let's just use the proper word, lying educators, lying teachers, lying preachers, lying officials. In a world full of liars, who do you trust? And why would you trust them? And some will say, well, that's why I don't trust nobody. Then you're a fool. The bird just twerked, say, you're a fool too. He said, I agree, you're a fool. Because stop telling me you don't trust nobody. Who you doing business with? Who you pay your bills to? Who you work for? Where you work? You don't trust nobody? You don't trust the man that's going to make sure your paycheck or the HR department that's going to make sure your paycheck hits your bank account? You don't trust your bank either. You don't trust nothing. Stop. You just, again, a world full of liars, and it's sad. Instead of, you taking the position to do something about it, you just double down. Liars just double down on the lie. They come up with a clever saying, I'm not a liar, I only lie to myself. Then you're a fool. Only a fool would say something so foolish. That makes absolutely no sense. You're repeating folly and foolishness. How about I just say I'm going to start being honest and keep my damn word? How about recognize a thief might be worse than a liar, but they both are going to get destroyed? How about saying what you mean and mean what you say? Because all that other side talking is double talking. The book says, never trust a double-minded person. It's another saying, when people show you who they are, believe them. They're deceived. They don't know who they are themselves. And if you follow them, they're going to lead you to slaughter. We were warned, Isaiah 50 told us that in the book of Isaiah, chapter. He said they're going to lead you to the slaughter. Zechariah said the shepherds don't even pity the people. The watchmen are blind, is what Ezekiel said. They're dumb, greedy dogs, never have enough. And they raise up flock to think just like they think. Dumb, greedy dogs. They say, you are a dumb, greedy dog, never have enough. You just assume that everybody is like you. So you lie to yourself, which makes you a deep down, low down liar. Otherwise, there's no reason to say that kind of stuff. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. A true repentant heart, a true contrite spirit, true submission. That is something that is not only demonstrated daily, it's demonstrated in a way that it manifests itself in a mighty way. Brother Franklin and I were talking a little earlier today, and he was reading about Joseph and how that in Potiphar's house certain things happened. And how Joseph, because he had integrity, with all that stuff going on, he still refused to compromise what he knew was true. And he didn't let the situation, he didn't let the circumstances, he didn't let enticement, he didn't let anger, bitter, he didn't let liars change him. The old saying, they love you till they don't. But this is a heart, of the wicked, brothers and sisters. This is the indoctrination manifestation of witchcraft. And this is why Moses was warning us in Yahuwah's Torah. He said, when you go amongst these people, when you live amongst these people, don't serve them and watch them. What do you mean by don't serve them? Don't trust them. Don't trust their system. Don't trust their gods. All these things that I named to you is their gods. Their gods are the financial institution. Their gods are the pedophile institution, the human trafficking, the money laundering, the thievery, the con artist, the con woman, the whorish woman, the whorish man, the double-minded man and woman, people who say words and don't keep their words. People who get angry at the truth instead of being repentant for the truth. Their gods, again, is their financial institution that charges interest on any and everything. You call it taxation. It's double taxation is what it is. That's what interest is. It's a hidden tax is what I'm saying. If you're going to pay tax on that card, and you're still going to pay interest on that goddamn card. You're going to pay tax when you use that credit card, and you're going to pay interest on that card that you use that you just paid tax on. They double dipping you. But you're not supposed to understand that because, you failed economics when you were in junior high school. I don't know. When Yahuwah brings forth, one who loves him, who's assigned to governing you, you let the gods of this world influence the way you think because he doesn't bow down and cater to you. You feel as though he's the enemy. But your enemies are all around you. Again, the whole world is a stage and you are, the entertainment. I think I wrote that down too. Hallelujah. Matter of fact, I said the whole world is a stage. You ought to refuse to be the entertainment. See, I made my mind up a long time ago. I'm not going to be anybody's goddamn entertainment. You've heard me use, the quote from time to time, in the game of life, the 50-yard seats don't interest me. Why? Because I came to play, not play around. No, I'm serious about it. Unlike the Jesse Jacksons and these little, how you say, hucksters, crooks, the Beyoncés, and the Jay-Z's, and the Cardi B's, and the rest of them, UBs. Talking about UBs out there. I refuse to play the game that you play. I refuse to play the game they play. I always have. I refuse, to follow the wicked. Again, in a world full of, liars, why the hell would I seek your validation? If the pure heart already going to do what is right. The pure heart is not going to look for self-grandation. The pure heart is only going to think in terms of how can I fulfill Yahuwah's purpose for my life. And if that means I'm servant to the prophet, then I'm going to be servant to the prophet. Why would I have a problem with that? Yahuwah put him there. But because Israel has learned the ways of the heathens, then we let the heathens dictate to us what is good and what is bad, what is truth and what is a lie. It's the only reason why I brought that book out, because, again, many of them are going to be going through this whole big old charade. You watch. Everybody in this mama going to come out here talking about how great Jesse Jackson was. But they're going to forget how Jesse Jackson constantly, he was the early version of the Lee Merritts. Nothing but a hustler. Conjuring up all kind of so-called civil rights issues and then running in there, putting out the fire and grabbing the bag and leaving our asses out there to deal with the consequences when he was gone. Robbing Exxon, robbing everybody. Just say black, say nigga. And then I'm going to come down there and then I'm going to tell you about, I'm going to protest against your company and we're going to do all these things and we're going to, and if you don't pay me off. And they would pay him off so he would go away so they didn't have to change. And he was good with it too. Chicago, the Windy City. Who else we know that was from Chicago with that rainbow foolishness? Can you say Obama, Barack, Michelle? That rainbow. The first gay president, isn't that what Time magazine said about him? In the early 14, 15, roundabout? Whole White House had the rainbow, lights on it. It's there, look it up. The same behavior who called an abomination before him. You can go over to look at Leviticus in our Torah, 18 and 13. You can go look at Leviticus 20 and 18 and 21. I don't want to get that. And then 18, 20, and 21 in Leviticus. And then you go same couple of chapters over. And you're going to see in 2013. That's when Obama passed a legislation that, same-sex partnerships qualified as marriage in terms of benefits. It's there. But yet, Leviticus say those who practice that lifestyle should be put to DEATH. He said it was an abomination. Rainbow Coalition, rainbow, all inclusive. Male, men, females, males, females, and females, males. Mixing of what? Species. Who will say would do that? The seed of who? The fallen. And those who were taught by the seed of the fallen. That's why he said, don't learn their way. So whether or not Jesse Jackson is an Israelite or not, you can debate that. But when it comes to Obama, he's not an Israelite. He's a Kenyan. He's a Canaanite. Nimrod people. Remember, Nimrod was the great-grandson or the grandson of who? Canaan. Who was what? The son of who? Ham. The black folk. That's why they so-called Jesus is black. If you look far enough, all of their gods are going to be black. That's what that, okay, I'll stop right there. But look, it's a serious situation going on here, brothers and sisters. And it's about to get a whole lot worse. Because Israel, to this very day and time, will say, yeah, I believe in witchcraft, elder, and I know, prophet, that witchcraft is true. But will never deal with the witchcraft or the witch in them. They won't deal with it. They'll get confronted with the truth, and then they'll go into what? Rebellion, witchcraft. The book says so. Rebellion is another form of witchcraft. Have many faces, just like their gods have many faces. In the medical field, again, educational field, entertainment field, religion, financial, militaristic, judicial system, legislative system, executive government system, so-called cabinet members, who all are more than likely are participants in the so-called, I'm just going to call it Epstein papers. Forget the foul talk. You start all that foul stuff, it starts to make it seem to be that just some complicated, sophisticated, I don't know. No, it's the papers. They left a paper trail. They left emails and text messages. Like you do on your phones. If you think those are the worst monsters out there, unfortunately, you are painfully naive. And if you think that that's, that stuff is happening, to them and not, you, so therefore you don't have to feel any kind of threat about it, then again, wait a minute. Give it a minute. Now, our book in Deuteronomy says that if the prophet says something and that word, and what that prophet says does not come to pass, then don't listen to that prophet. That's what Deuteronomy said. So if I'm lying, you don't have to listen to me. That's what the book is saying. If I'm false teaching, you don't have to listen. But if what I said has came to pass and coming to pass, Yahuwah said, if you don't listen, He's going to require it of you. It means that He's going to punish you for it. Just like He did to all of those who went against His prophets. We know the story of Nineveh. Jonah went there. They just listened for a moment. As soon as Jonah was gone, things settled down. They went right back like a dog back to his own vomit. Proverbs 26 and 11. Just like the book said they would do. Ezekiel said that you come, you hear this word, you acknowledge that this word is true. But when it comes to you actually putting what you acknowledge is true into words, into action, then all of a sudden you go into this how you say, passive aggressive is probably the best. There's another word that will come to me, but right now I use the word passive aggressive. You do nothing, and then if you get called out for to do nothing, then you get hostile. You know, in other words, you take the position that you are being attacked, which is a lie. There's a big difference between a warning and an attack and an assault. You may want to look the word up. Warning is to be warned, is to be, brought to your attention, to make you aware. Attacked is to mean someone's done violence to you. I haven't done violence to no man, except, those who have, came at me violently. But again, in a world full of sorcery, in a world full of liars, again, I don't know, who needs, their approval? What did Trump do? What did the media do for Trump just recently? Not the media. There's this organization, brothers and sisters, that takes these census, the president ratings. They did away with that a couple of weeks ago because Trump's rating was so poor. America is so miserable. The Gallup poll. They just done away with it. They've been around for 50, 100 years. They just say, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? We got to come up with something else. We don't need truth to be told. The people are waking up, and we've got to do everything in our power to put them back to sleep. So let's pay off all these communities. Let's pay off the church. Let's pay off these camps. Let's pay off these content creators. Let's pay off these scoffers, these mockers. You follow me? These truthers. Let's pay off the the fundamental black Americans. Let's pay off America's descendants of slaves. Let's pay off, Umar. Let's pay off Tariq Nasheed. Let's pay off Jason Black. Let's pay them all off. And we're going to tell them all to talk about everything but the most important thing. And that is Yahuwah's word inside of this Torah. But they can talk about anything else, but do not talk about who the people in this book are. In Africa, you talk about the African kings and what's his name? Abraham, whatever his name is. How you say? Burkina Faso. You can talk about him. You can talk about Netanyahu. You can talk about Putin. You can talk about, Iran. You can talk about, what's going on in Cuba. You can talk about Venezuela, Maduro. You can talk about, Bad Bunny. You Puerto Ricans, what a shit show he put up on Sunday before last. But again, when you like women shaking their ass and your people being exploited, you applaud it. And then when someone like Trump or someone associated with him say your country is a floating trash can, you get mad. But you celebrate an entertainer who comes out and exploits your people. But again, Israel does what Israel's going to do. I'm not saying all Puerto Ricans are Israel, but a whole lot of them are. The ones that they use for entertainment, most of them are. Y'all know the names. But again, it's not, when Judah started talking about, Judah, or Ephraim, or whoever it may be there, it's the pot calling the kettle black. So this ain't about, the ethnicity of Yahshua. It's about the behavior of Yahshua. And how that we just don't get it. We are the perpetual picture of too late. Too late. When I was a young man, I used to have a thing called CPT. CPT. It was a metaphor for colored people time, which means perpetually late. But it was not only addressing late in terms of timeliness, but it was also talking about late in terms of awareness. Why Hosea said, my people are destroyed for lack of the knowledge. He said, why? He said, because they should be paying attention. They should be aware of what's going on. But no, give me food, give me entertainment, wave a few dollars in my face, and I'll show you my ass. Or show my ass, whichever one applies. But not here, not with me. And whether you agree with me or disagree with me, that's not important. You're going to hear this truth. As I said earlier, I know who sent me. Maybe you don't know who sent you, or maybe that's your problem. Maybe you think you're in a relationship with Yahuwah because you do all these things. You love again. How you say the dramatics of it, the association with it. But the sacrifices and the commitment, you ain't going to nowhere near do it. And you know you're not going to do it. And you've always been that way. Subtle resistance, passive aggressive. Always, prepared to make yourself a victim. I ain't no victim. Well, why you ran? Why you running? Why you don't do what you say? The book say the wicked flee when no one is pursuing them. And he's not talking about, someone outside. He's talking about the inner person, the inward person, your own mind. It's beating you down. Because you're still carrying you everywhere you go. But then you say that, my burden is easy. Yahuwah got me. But if Yahuwah had you, you would be clearly, without questioning, following this Torah. As communicated by his prophet, I might add. Because some people, how you about the feast days, Elder? What about this and what about that? Did not he say, I'm going to give you a prophet from among your people? Like you? Not the similitude of you, like you, and listen to him? Why do you think he would say that? I'm going to have Moses judge the matter. Or my prophet is going to judge the matter. There'll be others unto him. But why do you think he would say that? Because the time would come that his word would be challenged. They would try to nitpick the Torah. It was written in Maccabees. He said what the heathen would put their image and their likeness inside of our Torah, add things to the book, subtract things from the book, to try to corrupt you and I, brothers and sisters. But you will say, I'm going to bring a prophet and I'm going to share with him my secret so that those who love me with all their heart, all their mind, and all their strength will not be tricked or seduced by these devils. When they come and attack my Torah. How could a book that's clearly written forever, for all generations, somehow or another all of a sudden now it's done away with? There's two gods, the God of the New Testament and the God of the Torah, if you can believe these devils. Well, you can believe those devils because that's exactly what they believe. All of those who claim Yahweh and Yahushua and Jesus, yeah, you. All of you saying, well, I believe in both. You. You have done exactly what Yahuwah said not to do. He said, do not serve the gods of the nations that you are among. Their gods. He said, do not serve their gods. And that includes all of religion. And atheists, you non-believers, do you know that's a religion too? Religion, again, is not a church. It's a mindset. It's an ideology. You know what the word ideology means? Look it up. It's something you believe personally is right. Or another, and you allow them to project it upon you. This is exactly why I see the bird again saying, yeah. Hear him? They're there. You hear that? My Lord, it's just a little bit. That's not always there. But Yahuwah is using nature to talk to us, brothers and sisters, along with his word. Because one thing about nature, nature did not sell out for the bag. Nature hasn't sold out for lies. Nature has not participated in witchcraft. Nature has not become sorcerers and sorceress. Nature understands its purpose and it is fulfilling it. Why man tries to kill it. But they won't succeed because Yahuwah is going to use nature, fire. Yeah, that's part of nature. To sterilize. Like David said, like hyssop. Clean me with hyssop and I'll be clean. He said, create the right spirit in me. David never talked about going anywhere when he got rebuked or corrected. He said, no. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm not going to, attack, Nathan. Nathan lied. But rebellious Israel has always done that. They have always killed the prophets. They have always attacked the prophets. And I can assure you, if you're not getting attacked, you're not working for Yahuwah then. You're working for this heathen world. You're the world's prophet. The prophet that Jeremiah 14 talked about, the compromised prophets. Yahuwah didn't call them, they were called themselves. They ordained themselves. They made themselves prophets and prophetess. They still believing in dreams. I had a dream. Yet Yahuwah saying, I don't talk to you in no goddamn dreams. I talk to you through my prophet. Well, what about Joel? What about Joel? Give me more precepts. I'm listening. This book clearly tells us every word needs to be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. I was doing reflection, again, before day this morning. And I was thinking about, how Yahuwah talked, when Raphael in Torah chapter 13, when Raphael, was praying before, Torah, and he was revealing to them everything that had happened, in their journey of awakening. And he was walking them through it. And this was Raphael talking. And Raphael is an archangel. So if Raphael's talking, he's a messenger. He's a minister of Yahuwah. So you best believe what he's saying is coming from Yahuwah. But then you can go over into the book of 1 Samuel chapter 2, and you'll hear Hannah praying. And people will come and tell you that's Yahuwah talking. And it says Hannah prayed. And they tell you what she prayed. And yet people will come and say, oh, that was Yahuwah. See right here? No, that was Hannah's prayer. That's the equivalent of me praying or you praying. And people coming and saying, that's Yahuwah. No, it isn't. It's you praying. This book records behavior. And if you don't rightly divide this truth, you're going to go around preaching lies. And this is what the false teachers and the false prophets, the liars, that's what they do. This is why he said, let the word be verified by 2 or 3 witnesses. Why would he say that? Because he knew there would be, heathens, nations around us trying to influence us, and wicked Israelites among us who would also believe if they're calling of Yahuwah to tell us what Yahuwah is saying according to them. Not according to you, according to them. And again, If you're listening to them, then, you deserve whatever you get. The book said that the shepherds are wicked. Let's go over to the book of Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 11. Let's take a peek over here, dear brothers. I thought I was going to go one way, but Yahuwah's taking me the way He's taking me. So this is what we're going to go. Hallelujah. Tomorrow night, by the way, we're gonna be digging deep and deep into this sorcery stuff. So if you're with us, you'll learn a thing or two. I promise you that. Not study. But look what Zechariah had to say. And my bad, brothers and sisters, because I'm just turning, and if I was looking, I'll know where I am. But y'all know how I do. Y'all sometimes just be moving. Hallelujah. But y'all always get me where He wants me to go. But look at Zechariah chapter 11, verse 4. It says, "Thus says Yahuwah, feed the flock of the slaughter," talking about our people, "whose possessors slay them," means all the gods of around us, "and hold themselves not accountable. And they that sell them say, Blessed be Yahuwah," those who sell us out. "And they say, Well, I'm rich and I own my own shepherds." And their own shepherds don't pity them. I'm sorry. And they claim to be rich and their own shepherds don't pity them not. So there are so-called shepherds among us, brothers and sisters, don't care nothing about the people. They only care about themselves. Praise Yahuwah, I'm not one of them. And that's why more times than not, you'll see those who, will take issue with me for what I said. Because, see, they want me to keep things in the dark. Well, I told it to you. If you didn't tell me, you telling me something in confidence, and I didn't agree that I would keep it in confidence, then we had no we had no confidentiality. We didn't have a DNA, non-disclosure agreement. How about that? We didn't sign no DNAs. And this book says open rebuke is better than secret love, and faithful is the wounds of not your enemy, a friend. And when they are offended because of the truth, then they are not a friend. They're just being exposing that they were, again, pretending. Israel on the outside, melanation, but demonic heathen, liars, double-minded on the inside. And rather repent and acknowledge it, what they'll do? They'll get offended. Not because you lied on them. It's because you exposed the lie, which is the job, by the way. Maybe you need to go read. Let's go read Isaiah 58 and see if the prophet is supposed to keep your wicked ass secrets. It says here, cry aloud, Isaiah 58 and 1, spare not. I can stop right there. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 14. And I'm just driving home a point to my brothers and sisters because a lot of our people are going to get destroyed. When that nature, when that fire, these diseases, this hunger, these same people who snatching up children have always did it. This is just a little bit that's coming up. And they're going to snatch a lot of you sisters up and a lot of you so-called men up. You tender and delicate ones. The ones who don't understand the importance of unification with your brethren. And you'll never get it. I'm coming to understand that now. You'll never get it. You'll think that you're standing back and holding back makes you, that's your masculinity. No, it isn't. It's your effeminate that makes you effeminate. The book says you're tender, delicate. Here we've got to go to war, and you're standing back talking about where the enemy at. And the enemy is everywhere. Enemy is in your house. Enemy is around the corner. The enemy is on your job. The enemy polices your street, governs your cities, stands up in your churches, and you asking where the enemy at. Shame on you. That's not masculinity. But look at Jeremiah 14:14 says, then said Yahuwah unto me, prophets that prophesy lies in my name. No, brother, this is what Yahuwah said, brother. No, brother, you know you're not understanding about the feast days. Look, I'm going to tell you something, devil. I rebuke you. The book here, you just got rebuked. Right here, Yahuwah said you are a liar. We don't keep no damn feast days. We will again. We did in times past, but not right now. Do you realize anything that you offer up to Yahuwah, if it had a spot on it, Yahuwah would kill you? Not only that he would reject it, brothers and sisters, he would have killed that priest who offered up that particular sacrifice. We all know about what happened to Aaron's sons when they brought that strange fire before Yahuwah. He didn't say, well, you know, I'm not going to accept the fire. We good, you know. No, he said, I want this kind of incense. They went in there with their own. He killed both of them. Don't you tell me that you can offer, you know, things that have been taught with the hands of man. Fest and feast days that you can't tell where Jesus stopped and the Passover started. All blended. You think you will allow us to be confused? No, you're confused. So who needs validation in a world full of liars? I don't. Who is validating me? And that's what matters to me. And if you had the sense of a goddamn sheep, you would listen to me. It goes on to say here, brothers and sisters, then Yahuwah said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. He said, I didn't send them, neither have I commanded them. So the question comes back, who are you listening to? Israel? Who's got your ear? What drum, who got you, how you say, marching to their drum? You yourself? That's about the worst decision you can make. We were warned about that, Proverbs 14 and 12, right? What did it say? Let's go there. Hold your hand here. Other way. Proverbs 14 and 12. And the truth makes enemies. I get it. So you can be my enemy. That makes you feel better about yourself. Again, I don't need no validation from you. But look what it says here. Proverbs 14 and 12. There's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. How do you know that rebelling against what I'm saying justifies what you're doing? Where's the scripture? Where's the evidence? What did Deuteronomy say to us? Let's go over to the book of Deuteronomy, back to the Torah. We're coming back to Jeremiah. Let's go back to Deuteronomy. See what it says. See, we don't have to have confusion, although I know that's what many are seeking, brothers and sisters, to confuse us, to make us like dumb sheep led to the slaughter. But look what Deuteronomy 19 and 15 says. One witness shall not rise up against a man, nor any iniquity for any sin. In any sin that he sins, at the mouth of 2 witnesses and at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. And if that's not good for you, let's go over to Isaiah chapter 28. Because some of you say, we're talking about sin. Okay, well, let's see what this is talking about. Let's see what Isaiah is talking about. Isaiah chapter 28, verse 10 says this, for precept must be on precept. That's why we use precepts. When we send out the precepts on the Wednesday night study group, the Knox study group. He said, for precept must be on precept. Precept upon precept, line upon line. So where are you getting your justification for your behavior from, brother, sister? It says here, line upon line, here a little, there a little. For with foreign lips and foreign tongue I will speak to, means that everybody's not going to understand this word. To whom he said, this is the rest where I will cause the weary to rest, because I'm going to give a refreshing to who? My prophet, the servant, my servant, the prophet. Him I will give my secrets to. Amos 8 and 7. He said, but the word of Yahuwah was upon to them as precept on precept. The word was upon to them. The word of Yahuwah was upon to them. The word of Yahuwah was upon unto them. The word of Yahuwah was unto them. Precept upon precept. Precept upon precept. Line upon line. Here a little, there a little. That they may go. And it says fall backward means that they would not fall into a snare or be broken, snared, or taken, deceived. They would not turn back. That's what it means by like a dog to his own vomit, going to your way, your thoughts, the way that seemed right to you. And let me see your pastor, your camp, your leader break that down, do what I just did by the power of Yahuwah. Let's see it happen. I'll wait, and I'll wait, and I'll wait, and you'll be waiting too. See, most of our people want this prophet right here, brothers and sisters. Let me go back. Jeremiah chapter 14. He said, then Yahuwah said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I didn't send them, neither have I commanded them, neither spoken to them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, a thing of nothing, and the deceit of their own heart. They are liars, pushing their own ideology, as with some of you. And this is a warning to you. But you won't take it as a warning. Because you lying saying Yahuwah told you to do what you're doing. And he did not. Because had he told you to do what you will be doing, what he says according to his Torah. Not according to your feelings or what you think. Or your offense. Or your nonchalant. Slowful. Sitting around doing nothing. Talking loud but saying nothing. Or saying nothing and talking loud. A difference without a distinction. Where Isaiah said, which one of y'all you gonna say? Which one you gonna serve? Yahuwah or Baal? Yahuwah or Jesus? Yahuwah or Yahushua? Yahuwah or Yahawashah? Yahuwah or Johnny, Tammy, Susie, Mark, Ricky, Mike, Ronnie, Mike, Johnny, whatever new edition devil name. He said, who you gonna serve? And they didn't open their mouths. They were already serving who they were going to serve. Baal. But that didn't mean, Elijah wasn't going to, challenge him. My job is to challenge the lies. It goes on to say these lying prophets, I didn't send them. And they say sword and famine shall not be in this land. Brothers and sisters, they're just trying to scare you. Ain't nothing going to happen. Man, go on with your life. Sister, go ahead on with your life. Yet you can obviously see the stuff that's coming into the light. Just if you just base it off of what's going on with this whole thing with Jeffrey Epstein. And it ain't just Jeffrey Epstein. There's thousands, not tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of these people victimizing, eating children, eating them like food, brothers and sisters. Drinking their blood, seeking the fountain of youth. This is what's going on there. Trying to extend their lives so they can live a long time. Probably why a wicked ass Jesse Jackson lived so long. The Queen of England. And if you don't think Jesse Jackson is tied up in that mess, you've got to be out of your mind. I just told you, you can go pull up videos and you see him and Trump doing deals together. But there'll be people crying crocodile tears about Jesse Jackson today. They'll be in there mourning. They'll be mourning for Jesse. His own goddamn son, when the politician was corrupt as he could be, Jesse Jackson Jr. Look it up. Thieves. What does the rock say again? A thief is worse than a liar, but they're both going to come to nothing before Yahuwah, which means he's going to destroy you. But he said, no, they prophesy a false vision, divination, a thing of nothing, and the deceit of their own heart. Or better yet, play to your heart, to your own deceit, to your own desire. That's why I said, a righteous prophet is never going to look for popularity. He knows better than that. He recognized that, every time he opens his mouth, he's probably going to make 2 enemies, if not 5. But he will open his mouth. It goes on to say here, they speak deceit to the heart. Verse 15, therefore says Yahuwah, concerning the prophet that prophesy in my name. I know Yahuwah talking to me. Talking about you. I sent them not. Yet they say there will be no danger. There will be no sword. I don't need to, to run nowhere. I'm going to stay right where I am. Okay, fine. Stay there. You said you would. There won't be no famine in this land. The sword and famine shall be those prophets consumed. He said, by the sword and famine shall those prophets be consumed. And that's everybody. You just heard me read it in Zechariah. Say they what? Let's go back over there so you can put them together. Line upon line, precept upon precept. This is what that sounds like. Who possesses slay them. Talking about feed the flock of the slaughter. So yeah, Yahuwah's going to destroy those prophets, but anybody following them, the sheep, who possesses slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that say sell them, blessed be Yahuwah. In other words, sell them out for rich. And their own shepherds don't even care about them. This is your so-called leadership, Yashrael. And when Yahuwah raises up a leader from among our brethren like unto me, all of a sudden, you got all these standards. You got all these sensitivities. Now all of a sudden, your values. Now all of a sudden, you're a man now. I don't follow nobody now, all of a sudden. But you got a history of being a follower. I better go ask your cousins and anybody else who know you. Are you a crowd pleaser, a crowd follower? I bet they'll have something to say. And I suspect you know it. But you won't admit it. Because see, the truth will challenge you to change. The truth will challenge you to give it up. And you ain't interested in that. I ain't doing all of that for you, Yahuwah. No way. But you profess to be like Abraham. Or you profess to be like Judah. Abraham gave it all up. Judah gave it all up. And because they did, they got to see the power of Yahuwah. And our people benefited from them. Who's benefiting from you? How is Israel stronger? Because of you. Since you call, since you know what you're doing. Since you don't have to trust no man. But then again, that's what a fool would say. A fool hates knowledge. Fool going to ignore this book. They're going to ignore this truth. Or they're going to go find some cherry picking something in here and try to build a doctrine on it like these liars. Well, you keep these feast days and you know good and so well Yahuwah said you can't even bring a midget in front of him. I said a midget, one that's that damn tall. He said you can't even bring a person with a flat nose in front of him. But you think you can bring all these polluted sacrifices and all these convoluted, holidays that you want to call feast days before Yahuwah. And this is exactly why Amos said, I hate your feast days. I despise your ceremonies. And he wasn't the only one to say it. He said, why don't you try being obedient for a change? Why don't you try taking direction for a change? Why don't you try listening and showing that you can listen and do for a change? What do you think he meant when he said they got ears to hear? Jeremiah said they got ears to hear and will not hear. What do you think he's saying? What's wrong with you taking direction? What's wrong with you being corrected? This book tells us who he corrects, he loves. You get corrected, you get angry at the person that you were told to correct you because you don't want him to correct you. We read about that already. When the people went up to Moses and the conversation started going back and forth about, correcting the people told Moses, no, we don't want Yahuwah because Yahuwah will kill us. We know you talk on behalf of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to them, y'all chose well. He said, you told Moses, you tell them they chose well. You might suffer them, but I'm not. It's in the book. He goes on and said, back to Jeremiah chapter 14, picking up at verse 16. He said, to whom the people they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword. Because you did not, he said, you listening to these liars, brothers and sisters. And said, therefore, many of you are going to end up in these damn streets being chased down and in more cases not eaten by wild animals. If you're not so sick, you're just going to fall down and they're just going to eat you alive because you can't even defend, you can't even fight them off. That happens too. Again, nature can teach you a lot of stuff. And you'll see in nature, wild animals will eat their prey, and the animals, the prey is still alive, and he's taking bites out of it. It's still alive. It's on its way to dying, but it's feeling every single bite. I fear my people have no idea of what this rebellion gonna cost us. I think we don't have a clue, most of our people, of what this rebellion is going to cost us. We read these words like these words, just words on a book that have no life to them. Yet we hear Yahuwah told us in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30, I put before you life and death, choose life. He's telling you this book is a book of life. He said, choose life. He said, I put in front of you blessings and curses, life and death. You go read it for yourself. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19, Torah. This Torah is life for those who obey it. David said to us in the book of Psalms, he said, well, it was worth, the Torah of Yahuwah, he said, it's worth more than what? Thousands of silver and gold, for all you silver and gold hoarders. That's Psalms 119, verse 72. And this is David, a man after Yahuwah's own heart, a man that Yahuwah called righteous. He said, your silver and gold without Yahuwah is nothing. And if you're choosing, you better choose Yahuwah and don't worry about no silver and gold. You can't eat it. Well, you never know, because you can always. That's heathen talk. That is heathen talk. Well, you see in this book, let me give you another something to refer to or reflect upon. See, that's heathen talk, talking about, silver and gold, that's always going to hold its value. See, that's heathen talk. Because see, they want you to believe that silver and gold, brothers and sisters, in a time of disaster is going to help you. Okay, can we, come to just give me a moment. Can we come to understanding here? If I show you, okay, you take off these glasses so you can see in my eyes. If I show you in this book that silver and gold will not save you in a time of trouble, would you agree? Shake your head if you agree. Would you agree to thumb up this video? Even if you don't like me. Would you agree? Subscribe to the channel. Even if you don't like me. Only to push the word forward. But can we come to an agreement on this? If I can show you in this book, among our own people, because that's what this book is written for, how silver and gold, so-called tangibles, in a time of trouble won't save you. Because that's what they're telling you to hoard it for the time of trouble. We agree? Okay, well, get your finger ready. Hit that button. Go to the book of Jasher. Oh, by the way, to finish this up, verse 16, Jeremiah 14 and 16, don't forget our agreement. It says, and the people whom they prophesy shall cast them out into the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword. The people are going to suffer for listening to them devils. Told your brothers and sisters who said to come together. And their women and their sons, and then nobody shall bury you, so you know it's mean literally. And none will bury you, the animal's going to eat you. And their women, and nobody will bury them, nobody's going to bury your women, nobody's going to bury your sons, nobody's going to bury your daughters, for I, Yahuwah, is going to cause this to happen to you. So you ain't getting around that. And if you go over to verse 15, it says right here, verse 3, he said, and I will appoint over them. This is following up behind that. What he said? Four kinds, said Yahuwah. The sword to kill you, the dogs to eat you, tear you up, the fowls of heaven, and the beasts of earth to devour and eat your flesh. Now, you still want to listen to those prophets, right? Okay. Well, let's go over to the book of Jasher. I just want to show you this. Hallelujah. This is the book of Jasher, chapter 75. Now remember, they want to tell you in a time of crisis, whatever is considered money, in this case, that case, silver and gold, they said that's always going to be money. So in a time of crisis, as long as you got money, you got silver and gold or whatever it is that's called value, right, to purchase what you want, right, that it'll save you. Look at this, brothers and sisters. Now remember our agreement. The book of Jasher, chapter 75. And at that time, in the 180th year of Yashua going down into Egypt, there went forth from Egypt valiant men. These were very valiant men, cocky men, arrogant men, confident men. And they went forth from Egypt, valiant men, 30,000 foot soldiers from the children of Yasharel. So it's talking about us, who are of the tribe of Joseph, the children of Ephraim, the son of Joseph. And they said the period was completed which Yahuwah had appointed to the children of Yahshua in the times of old, for which he had spoken to Abraham. So obviously they were looking and reading the Torah. No New Testament. Verse 3. And these men girded themselves, and they put each man his sword at his side. So they had their weapons. And every man had his armor, protection on. And they trusted in their own strength. And they went out together from Egypt with a mighty hand. Now they're saying that Yahuwah's time was up anyway, so I know Yahuwah with me. You can say that's what they were saying. Now I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But they brought no provision for food for the road. That means no food. Only silver and what? It says they brought with them only silver and gold. Now, if you follow this video this far, you hit the thumb button. I'm going to stop so you can hit that thumbs up because that was our agreement. That these men, the story ain't done, but our agreement is did they have the silver and gold saved them? As it's being promoted to Israel all over this flat earth. That was our agreement. So you should have already hit the thumbs up button or about to. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe or you are a liar. If you said if I showed it to you, you agreed to it. Or if you didn't say anything, do it anyway. To show that, okay, elder, this prophet is giving us book to back up what he's saying. Torah. It says here, take your highlighter, hammer and saw. Highlight that word, those two words right here. Verse 4. But they brought no provision for the road, because you don't need food. You just need silver and gold. Isn't that what they're telling everybody right now, brothers and sisters? Talking about these wicked, the dolls and all the rest of them. Buy silver, buy gold. It don't lose its value. You don't have no food. You can always use silver and gold. We've all heard that. That's why when Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, brothers and sisters, there's nothing new under the sun. And this is why you should be over here with us, because you're going to learn over here. That way you don't get led like a dumb sheep to the slaughter. You don't get led by those who don't pity you, don't care. What it means, don't give a damn about what happens to you. That's what it means when they say don't pity you. You're like, I don't need nobody to pity. But you do need people around you to give a shit about you, especially in a time of war. So when you say pity, the word pity means they don't care. Their mouth, but not their hearts. Hearts are not with you. But he goes on to say, but they brought no provision, meaning food for the road, only silver and gold, not even bread for that day did they bring in their hands. For they thought of getting their provision for pay from the Philistines. These are the heathens. If not, they would take it by force while they had their weapons. And these men were very mighty and valiant men. One could pursue 1,000 and two 10,000. This is all you. I know you who is with me. One to put 1,000 to flight, two 10,000, because he is with me. I will not be afraid by the arrows, by day and the terrors by night. If you ain't standing and following Yahuwah's direction, you better be afraid. You're not the first person to quote them scriptures and get it wrong, misinterpret what that's talking about. Many people misinterpret what that's talking about. But these men, obviously, they knew about the Torah, because that's where they found that out. In Deuteronomy, it talks about one to put 1,000 to flight, two 10,000. So they were real weird men of Yahshua, valiant men, mighty men, warrior-like men. It goes on to say this. Two could rout 1,000, and so they trusted in their strength, not Yahuwah, and they went together as they were. Way that seemed right to a man, so let's stay there. And they directed their course towards the land of Gad. Gad might sound familiar, because that's where Goliath was from. And they went down they went and found the shepherds of Gad feeding the cattle of the children of Gad. And they said to the shepherds, give us some of the sheep for silver and gold, that we might eat, for we are hungry, for we have not eaten any food today. Now, when I say they say pay, they're talking about silver and gold. We've already established that in verse 4. Their resources was silver and gold. That's what they had in their pockets. That's what they stored up on their shelves for a rainy day. Case of emergency. When the money fails, you can always use silver and gold. This is what they say. This is what they have said. And you think you hear something new. Well, all throughout history, silver and gold was the answer. Okay, let's see then. What's the answer for you, Yahshua? And the shepherds said, these are the Gad shepherds, the Philistine shepherds. This is what they said to them. They were like, wait a minute, we need to talk about this. And the shepherd said, I want you to hear that in the background, so your mind is right. And the shepherd said, are they our sheep or cattle that we should give them to you, even for silver and gold? But they telling us when people won't take currency, they will take silver and gold. But here it is, the people saying, no, I'm not. This is what the heathen say, no, we ain't taking no silver and gold. Verse 9, and the shepherds, verse 8. And the shepherd said, these are our sheep and cattle, and we will not give them to you, even for silver and gold. So the children of Ephraim approached to take it by force. So we'll use our weapons. And the shepherds of Gath shouted over them, and their cry was heard at a distance. And so all the children of Gath went out to them. They called for their kind. They called for their people. They called for their mobs. They called for all their killers who had also had guns. The mob, not the mafia, the lynching mobs. You know, the ones who were burning us alive, hanging us, disemboweling our women and stumping, disemboweling pregnant women and stumping, their fetus to death with their feet, or sicking wild dogs on them to eat them in front of our women. So it goes on to say, and when the children of Gath saw the evil doings of the children of Ephraim, they returned and assembled the men of Gath, and they put on each man his armor and came forth to the children of Ephraim for battle. So you got your AR? Well, he got his F-35. Fighter jet. You got your, I don't know, I don't think you have. You got a hand grenade, he has his napalm. You got your truck, he got his armor carriers, his tanks. You got your dogs, he got his drones. Better know who your enemy. You better know your enemies, brothers and sisters. Because you got a lot of lying men around you telling you, oh no, we don't need all that stuff. They're just trying to scare us. He's lying to you. He is lying. Or maybe he's not lying, but he's a fool. He don't know what he's talking about. And you're listening to him, which makes you a fool. Brother, that's not a brother that's sharpening iron that talks like that. A brother, he said iron sharpens iron like a brother sharpens, his friend. A real friend who's sticking closer to you than a brother, he's not going to tell you no damn lies. Or he's not going to, tell you what's on his mind, his imagination. A real brother's going to tell you, no, man, we got to arm up. We're going to have to figure out, with the like-minded men, where true leadership exists, proven leadership exists. And I'm not talking about military. You got a lot of fools in the military that are in high-level positions. I'm not talking about men who lead other men to slaughter. I'm talking about men who know how to deal with men, know how to think on their feet, brothers and sisters, know their enemies better than the enemies know themselves. Men who know how to navigate, amongst them without being seen by them, like the two spies with the whore Rahab. Jericho. But let's continue the story, because by now you should have thumbed this up, because watch what's going to happen. Now, we had our weapons, they had their weapons. Verse 11, and they engaged them in the valley of Gath, and the battle was severe, and they smote from each other a great many of that day. They killed some of us, we killed some of them. I told you we're warrior-like people. And on the second day, the children of Gath sent to all the cities. Now they got everybody. But tell you something, for you guys who don't know a whole lot about so-called Black Wall Street, Greenwood, Oklahoma. Some of y'all know it as Tulsa, Oklahoma. The fight started with some men the night before. The fight didn't start that day. The fight started at a courthouse. And why did the fight start at that courthouse? Because a black man, young man, in his early 20s, rebellious one, just like Jesse Jackson and many of you young men in your rebellion think you know what you don't know, but you figure you're going to do it anyway. This young black man decided to get into a relationship with a white divorcee who worked at a big building in Tulsa. He worked shining shoes. She was the person who operated the elevator. They got to know one on an intimate level. Of course, nobody condoned that. Not in 1920. That was a death sentence for both of them if they were caught. But I guess they figured they can sneak in the back room and nobody would know about it. But just like you were told in the Numbers 32, what Moses told Gad and Reuben, be sure your sin gonna find you out. And they got caught. Not in a sexual thing. Even though they were sexually involved, but they got caught in a dispute. And on the elevator where he worked as a shoe shining shoes, he went on the elevator, they were up in the elevator, got into an argument, he grabs her arm, the elevator door opened, somebody had pushed the button, they didn't know they had locked the door. They forgot. And these white men saw this black young man with his hand on the hand of a white woman. Now we'll get back to the story, but you need to know the truth about this thing. All you folks following the Gathering of Christ Church to their little whatever thing they're doing pretty soon, thinking that you're going to some historical event, you're going to be made a fool out of when you hear the rest of this damn story. Or maybe you'll change your mind. You got something to spend, you just send that over here, help with this work, where you're going to get truly teach, taught, informed, educate, where you're going to get something for your resources. But anyway, when the door opens, this young man sees these white men, he panics, she panics, she screams, let me go. He runs back out of Tulsa, over the railroad tracks. Remember, these cities would border each other. Just a railroad track. A railroad track was separating the two cities. If you're in the inner city New Orleans, inner city America, I'm from New Orleans, we know about railroad tracks. Separating, county lines, parish lines. So he ran back over the tracks to his own people. Well, the story got around town. The press picked it up. Wrote, black man assaults white woman in elevator. By nighttime, all the white men in Tulsa were furious. A black man tried to rape a white woman. So that's how the word got out. He wasn't trying to rape her, but they're going to always put their little spin on it because they lie. By evening, lynch mobs started to come together. It got so bad that the sheriff had to go over across the track and get a deputy that worked over in the black community, find this man, young man, knew where he would be, arrested him and put him in the jail because he didn't want the mob to grab him and hang him. Put him in the jail back in Tulsa. Well, the word got around Greenwood. They got, Richard, they called him Diamond Dick, believe it or not. Kind of Diamond Dick, D-I-C-K. So they get Diamond Dick. So the people in the bars, I'm talking about in Greenwood, not Tulsa. Tulsa already mad. The men in Tulsa, lynch mob already coming. They ready. Can't wait for the nighttime to come. Gonna get him in the dark. But they know he's in the jailhouse. The sheriff has arrested him. The newspaper, by the way, realized they had started a damn near race riot, so they tried to redact or retract, but it was too late. The people had already read it. They were trying to go get all the papers back, but people had already read it. So the mob, they wanted flesh. Back over in Greenwood, where, so-called our people were. I ain't know any of them. I ain't gonna make the city Israelites, but probably were. But they recognized they in the bars talking and drinking, and they said, well, you know what, we're going to do something, because remember last year they hung a white man, and he didn't do, that white man, if they going to hang a white man, they going to hang him, and he ain't do nothing. Because they all knew he was messing around with the girl. Word traveled fast in our community, especially, in the hood. So they knew he was dealing with the man's own mother, Diamond Dick, guardian, because she wasn't his biological mother, told him to stop it, but he wouldn't listen. Think you know everything, because you young. So anyway, The men drinking over in Greenwood, get liquored up. Know what they decide to do? Get their guns, and they're going to go to the jail, and they're going to defend and protect this young man. Make sure nobody, like the lynch mob, try to come and get him. We're going to have our guns. Just like the sons of Ephraim. See, I'm bringing on. Israel got his guns. So they got their guns, their little hunting guns, whatever they had, and they go to the jailhouse, and they stand in front of the jailhouse. Make sure nobody come. The lynch mob don't come and take the boy out there and hang him. Young man, he wasn't no boy. The sheriff told him, no, this is safe. Go away. You guys going to instigate something here. I got him. I got him so far up here. I got my deputies. He's safe. Go home. They didn't listen. I mean, I don't blame them for not listening, but anyway, either here nor there. So when the mob actually came, because they did show up to get him, but they saw these black men standing in front of the jailhouse with guns. They say to them, what y'all going to do with these guns? Who these guns for? But they weren't used to seeing black men armed. And they said, well, you know, it ain't for nobody as long as you don't mess with who's in that jailhouse. Then an argument pursued between a white one and a black man. And some say the black man shot him intentionally. Others say the gun went off, you know, accidentally. But anyway, a white man laid down on the ground dead. So, of course, Israel ran home with their bad ass. They ran on back across the tracks. They forgot all about Diamond Dick. But them white folk didn't. So they went to the armory where they keep all of their weapons. All of their weapons. And they emptied the armory. And the next morning, they made their way right over there to Greenwood to avenge the killing of their white man. And Greenwood knew they were coming, so they were on top of buildings and, you know, gun battle ensued. White folk notified the governor, hey, we got a race riot going on down here. We need help. The governor activated the National Guard. It's Tulsa. National Guard armory was right there, not far. National Guard came with planes, started dropping bombs. How the place caught on fire. By the end of the day, some say wagon loads, truckloads of dead bodies. Of course, the press lines say, 100 or whatever. But all these people were slaughtered. Everything they had was lost. All behind this one man who couldn't keep his hands to himself. Couldn't just stay amongst, Israel. Now that's the true story of Greenwood. Stop reading the press and go do some research. It's written, it's over here somewhere on my shelf. Several copies of what actually happened. A book about that they called The Burning of Tulsa. The Tulsa race riot. So y'all going over there, y'all gonna be made fools of, because y'all ain't going over there to defend the innocent. Y'all going over there because, Israel couldn't, keep itself to itself. And the first death that happened that night was not a black man, it was a white man. They weren't avenging no white woman, they were avenging that white man that was killed. So let's get back to here. We had our weapons in Greenwood. They had their weapons in Greenwood, but we didn't realize, then never gave thought probably that the National Guard was going to come fight on behalf of the white folk. So these are the people here. When we fighting them man to man, they killing some of us. I'm back in the book of Joshua. We're killing some of them, they're killing some of us. Don't forget about silver and gold here. Don't forget the so-called value of silver and gold. Don't forget that David said the Torah is more valuable than silver and gold. And if these men been following the Torah, they would not have gone anyway. And we're going to find this out. Because get this, brothers, so watch this. I'm going to pick up back at chapter 75, Joshua, verse 11. And they engaged them in the valley of Gad. And the battle was severe. Means it was bad. And they killed, smote each other a great many on that day. And on the second day, the children of Gad sent to all the cities of the Philistines. These was Tulsa sending for the National Guard. When you get in a battle with these heathens, you don't think they're going to call in the National Guard here? That's why I say you might have an AR, they got an F-35. You got a hand grenade and they got napalm. You got a dog and they got drones. Without Yahuwah, you think you can fight and win? And Yahuwah ain't going to fight on your behalf if you out of order? Doing what you want to do? As these men did. Oh, how many of them? They started out with 30,000 of them. From the tribe of Ephraim, Joseph's sons. Israel. So they cried out for the rest of their people to come and help them. Talking about Gad, not Israel. Israel ain't had nobody but them. Out there all by themselves. Verse 13. And they asked their people to come and help, talking about the Gad, the Philistines, come up unto us and help us, that we may smite the children of Ephraim, who have come from Egypt to take our cattle and to fight against us without a cause. Now the souls of the children of Ephraim were exhausted with hunger and thirst. Because silver and gold came by you, you can't eat it. You can't eat it, brothers and sisters. Whatever is worth, you better sell it and get it. You better sell it. Use that resources to do what you need to do. While you can do something with it. Because when crap hits the fan, I ain't going to help you. When there's no food, no water, that's not going to help you. And nobody's going to sell it to you either, by the way. That's the lie they tell because they try to drive the prices up to enrich themselves. Well, they're going to dump theirs. They already buying resource with theirs. While you hoarding, holding on to yours, waiting for the price to hit $100 again. Or $5,000 if it's gold. See, we teach, inform, and educate here for a reason. Yahuwah would not have called an idiot, brothers and sisters, who did not understand the economy, economics, the enemy, to be his representative among his people. Oh, he got a military background. Oh, he got a big church. Oh, he pretty. Oh, he's so ragless, God, we're going to support you to Israel. You know, you look at him, poor thing. Or Big Judah. Remind me of Mushmouth. Y'all remember Mushmouth with Fat Albert and the cap? That's how Big Judah. He remind me of Mushmouth. The old damn lip, blub, 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 like a fish, blowfish. Talking witchcraft. So they call for reinforcement. Like these heathen will do. Trust me, brothers and sisters. What's going to happen when you call for reinforcement? Who you think going to come, Israel, for you? The same ones who've been coming. No damn body. Grandma and, and mama. Maybe daddy. He don't have his head stuck up his ass. That's about it. If you're going to fight, you better be with some people who know how to fight. And people who Yahuwah will fight alongside. Or this is going to happen to you. Watch the rest of this. Verse 14. And now the souls of the children of Ephraim were exhausted with hunger and thirst, for they had eaten no bread for 3 days. And the 40,000 men went forth from the cities of Philistine. See, we started off with 30,000. Now we're fighting up a brand. After we've already lost many, here come 40,000 more to heathen. Here come not only the National Guard, here come the military. Federal troops coming in now. Forget local National Guard, now the federal troops are coming. You think ICE is your problem? No, your military is your problem, Israel. Your government is your problem. And these men were engaged with battle with the children of Ephraim, and Yahuwah delivered the children of Ephraim into the hands of the enemy. I'm going to read that to you again. So when you go without Yahuwah, you doing what you want to do? Because you think Yahuwah said so. Just like the prophets over in Jeremiah said, Yahuwah told me to do it. And they were lying to themselves. Yahuwah going to set the harness on you. Say, calling my name is not enough. So Yahuwah delivered Ephraim into the hands of the Philistines. Verse 16, and they smote all the children of Ephraim, all who had gone forth from Egypt. None were remaining but 10 men who ran away from the engagement. Started out with 30,000 in silver and gold and ended up with 10, brothers. 10 left. We're going to use it to buy food. We can use it to buy water. We can use this. These are heathen lies. No. They got slaughtered. And that silver and gold didn't help them at all. Had they obeyed Yahuwah's Torah and not gone and waited on Yahuwah, listen to Yahuwah's prophet, I'm sure they would have survived. Those who followed Moses through the Red Sea, they survived. Those who followed Joshua and Jericho, they survived. Those who followed David in zigzag, they survived. Those who followed Abraham, they survived. Again, verse 17, the evil was from Yahuwah against the children of Ephraim, for they transgressed what? The word of Yahuwah, in going forth to Egypt, from Egypt, before the period arrived which Yahuwah in the days of old had appointed to Yahshua. Remember earlier, they said, well, we waited, and I know it must be time to go, so I'm going to do what I want to do now. Did what they wanted, not what Yahuwah said. They were listening to themselves. They were doing what the heathens do, trusting the heathens. Using the heathen system, thinking, well, if you got silver and gold, that's all you need. Not if you Israel, it isn't. You need Yahuwah. And you don't get Yahuwah without his prophet. That's his words. I'm only the messenger. And you know it's true. Because you know that's exactly what the word says. Son of man, go warn my people, Ezekiel. Isaiah, again, cry aloud, spare not, lift up your voice, warn the people. Jeremiah, go tell the people. Isaiah, oxen of his owner, asked the master crib, but my people don't know who they are, won't consider. But warn them anyway. Moses warned the people. This rebellion is not going to work. It's witchcraft, said Samuel to Saul. So Yahuwah did it. Verse 18, and the Philistines also there fell a great many, about 20,000 men. And their brethren carried them and buried them in their cities. And the slain of the children of Ephraim remained forsaken in the valley of Gath for many days and years, and were not brought to burial. And the valley was filled with their bones, the dogs and the birds and the crows, just like Jeremiah said, going to eat them, just like Yahuwah saying it's going to happen again. For all of you out there in your own rebellion, listen to yourselves, listening to heathens, afraid to be bold, although with your mouth you speak it. But when it comes time to put action to words, can't be found. But yet you trusting in Yahuwah. He said, well, I'm going to send you a prophet. Hear him. He doesn't lie. I'm here. And I don't have to call myself a prophet to be one. It's just an assignment so you understand the office. It's an assigned title so you understand the office for which Yahuwah has placed me in, not you. And except he demote me, you can just go on about your business like you do. I'm talking about the rebellious you. The rest of you, continue to do what you're doing, but go harder. Verse 20, and the men who escaped from the battle of Egypt, and he told the children of Yashriel all that had befallen them. And their father Ephraim mourned over them for many days, and his brethren came to console him. And he came to his woman, and she bore him a son, and she called his name Beriel, for she was unfortunate, for she was unfortunate in his house. So all that silver and gold talk, brothers and sisters, hogwash. When David said the Torah of Yahuwah is worth thousands of silver and gold, that's what he's actually talking about, brothers and sisters. We need the truth in these last days. You know, we can't trust that no weapon formed against us is going to prosper if we're not doing what is right before Yahuwah. As I said before, when you read Isaiah 54 and 17, exactly what are you reading? Are you reading it in its entirety, and are you interpreting it properly? Or you just putting money in bags with holes in it because you refuse to reconsider when you're being warned? And somehow or another, through magic, you think that you're just going to make this stuff happen. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, you're going to be sadly disappointed. Just like many of our people believe that Tulsa story about the white people were just jealous of the black people, and they're just, for no reason whatsoever, they decide to attack. Greenwood had been sitting there almost 100 years. Almost all the people who didn't have their own businesses in Greenwood, they worked in Tulsa. So you really think Tulsa, the business people, at that time Tulsa might have been the richest country in America because of the oil boom, petroleum. You think they wanted to kill their maids, their butlers, their sanitation workers, their blacksmiths, their carpenters? The people who worked their crop, the people who worked their fields, the people who worked in their manufacturing plant. You think that that's what they would have thought? That's a great idea. Let's just go destroy all of our human resources. But see, this is what happens when you listen to false prophets, historians who lie or who conflate things to try to get you to pull into their ideology or their lies. What happens? And as a holy person, you go out there and ask anyone, say, tell the story that DFG told about Tulsa. And they're going to be like, what you talking about, Willis? Y'all know from different strokes. They have no clue. They really believe that these white people, for no reason whatsoever, just decided to go destroy. They help really crush their own economy. If that doesn't make sense to you, you know it doesn't make sense to them. White folks don't want us going out this country, brothers and sisters. Don't believe that lie. We are the industry. The prisons can prove that. We're in there working for free. Private prisons. They don't want us going nowhere. This economy will surely crash. You're the one that's worth more than, silver and gold. Well, not more worth than your Torah. You're the silver and gold. Maybe I should say that the right way. You are the actual silver and gold and related to these heathens. But they got heathens among us telling you, oh no, just buy silver and gold and don't worry about Torah. Don't worry about keeping, these commandments. Don't worry about listening to the prophet of Yahuwah. Invest your resource. Invest in our system. get a 30-year mortgage, but you believe that the Yahuwah is coming soon. Go get a 30-year mortgage, but you're saying you believe Yahuwah is coming. Go save up for your child who's 5 years old or 7 years old today for college, but you believe this world is about to end. And you want us to trust you. You want us to respect you. When you don't even respect yourself. You're double-minded. And no, we're not going to trust you. The book said never trust a double-minded man or a double-minded woman. One who goes sideways. When they're under duress, help me. Not under duress, this is what I'm doing. Y'all know them. Joshua 23 talked about them. Say when they need something, they turn to Yahuwah. When they don't give a damn about Yahuwah. Kill me. Nah, you ain't ready for that skin to melt off you. Slow by slow, little by little. Your skin to rot, that flesh become putrid and stinking. When you shitting and pissing yourself before you die, you ain't ready for that. Stop playing. You're not ready for it. Sorry. So is all of your body because somebody got to turn you over. Delirious, don't even know your name anymore. Can't even identify yourself or your family members. You ain't ready. You're just not ready. So no, all that talking about kill me stuff, you ain't ready for that. And then when you open your eyes again, all you're going to see is torment and horror and fire and suffering. You ain't ready to die. But you're not ready to live either. And that's the plight of Yahshua. We hate the truth, although we say we don't. We say we live unto Yahuwah, but all the evidence said, no, you're living unto yourself. You say you trust in Yahuwah, but everything about you say you trust in men and their system. A system that's not even a real system. They made it all up. Where did the Constitution come from? A bunch of heathen pedophiles and enslavers wrote up a document and said, now, this is what we're going to live by. A government system set up by heathens. Saying it's what you're going to live by. And you think it's real. Silver and gold as money. When silver and gold came by, you can't eat it or drink it. We just read about that. And by now, you should have already thumped this video up because that was the understanding. Some of you would have did it anyway because you stand with it, Elder. Appreciate you. So Yahuwah has a problem with liars and thieves, or thieves and liars. A big problem with double-minded people. He has a big problem to those who won't listen to the wise. As those saying, you can't get out of your own way because you just got to be right. And if anybody offend you, then all of a sudden, now, you just, oh no, your feelings are so hurt. But you're not tender and delicate. Maybe we ought to end there. Let's go over to Deuteronomy chapter 53, brothers and sisters. 28, I'm sorry. Verse 53. And y'all know Deuteronomy 28 is about the blessings. Deuteronomy 28 is about the blessings. Except you be in rebellion, then all of a sudden it's about your judgment. It's about the blessings. Deuteronomy 28 is about the blessings. Except you be in rebellion, then it's about your judgment. Rebellion against what, brother, elder, prophet? Y'all's Torah? Against his messenger? His prophet? Who's here on assignment from him? That you can't stand anymore. Why? Could this be the reason? Book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. Start reading at verse 53. And you shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and daughters. Well, we know that's going on, don't we now, brothers and sisters? Which Yahuwah Almighty has given you. And in the siege, that means when they come for us and they come in the purge, you can put that, the purge is coming. You can stand out there by yourself. And the straightness, wherein your enemies shall what? Distress you, put pressure on you. Your enemies is going to do it. So yeah, you will be afraid by the terrors by night. And yes, you will be afraid by the arrows by day. And no, you will not put, one of you will put 1,000 flight and two of you will put 10,000 flight. That's not for you. Those are things that set aside for those of us who keep and obey this Torah and follow the leadership structure that Yahuwah has set in place. Some over 1,000, some over 100, some over 50, some over 10. And if you're not in that number, then you shouldn't be saying nothing but telling me what is expected of me so I can go get it done. And even if you're in that number, you're supposed to be reporting to the one above you, to the one above you, to the one above you, to the one above you. And none of you are above the one that Yahuwah chose to lead you. He answers to Yahuwah. Unless he be a fool, he shouldn't be answering to you. And I ain't no fool. But let's look at this. He said, verse 54, Deuteronomy. So that what? The man that is tender among you, your balanced self, who is delicate, easily offended. His eyes shall be evil towards his brother because you said something he don't like. And toward the woman of his bosom, anybody associated with me. And toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Talking about you tender, delicate one. When shit hits the fan, you know you're going to run. You're already running. You don't do nothing now. What makes you think you're going to do something when things get really bad? Oh, I forgot, you're going to wait on Yahuwah. While your enemy is saying pass the ammunition, you're going to be over there talking about, praise Yahuwah for the manna. Where's the manna? Where's the beef? Say, no, you the beef. And you will be eaten by wild beast. You're going to be the food. Because you refuse to listen. Look at verse 55 says, so that they will not give any of them the flesh of their, so that they will not give to any of them of their flesh of his children whom he shall eat. Goodness. Because he has nothing left in him in the siege. In other words, in the massacre, the riot, the race riot, better said race massacre, that's coming. Then he goes on to say this, and in this arrogance wherein your enemy shall distress you at every one of your gates, right in your house, because your pride wouldn't let you let go of you. That's a message to the men, to you, my brethren. And to you, my sisters, hey, he didn't forget about you. He used equity. And this is what he had to say about you. To the tender, delicate woman among you, which would not venture to set her sole of her feet upon the ground for her delicateness and her tenderness. I ain't going to do nothing because I don't have to do nothing. I'm a boss, B. I don't need no whatever. I don't even want to get into some other thing because, then I can go too far with that. But thinking, again, that little filthy thing between your legs, It's all this and all that. Like every other woman don't have one. And whoever told you it was so good, he probably just a little whoremongering fool just to keep you coming back. And your little simple-minded ass believed him. So now you want to talk about how good it is. But you know it stank. And he don't give a damn. He said, for the ground, for the delicacy and tenderness, he shall be evil, and she shall be evil. Her eyes shall be evil towards the man of her bosom. That means her own brethren. And toward her son and her own daughter. And towards the young one that comes from between her feet, talking about the unborn. And to her children which she shall bear. For she shall eat, for she shall eat them for want of all things that she don't have when the day of judgment comes. That's what it means, the siege, and the straightness, because our arrogance, wherewith your enemy shall what? Do the same thing that they're going to do to your men. If you want to stay out there on your own and do whatever you want to do, daughter of Zion, well, the bad boy's coming for you. Same thing to you, my dear brother. Well, my brother. You want to go out there and do your own thing and, and not listen and think that somehow or another you're trying to get scared. I'm trying to scare you into something, so you're going to listen to them false prophets. Maybe you're one of them. I ain't worrying about nothing like that. Well, the book said you would say. Go back to Jeremiah 14. Say you would say exactly what you said until you will regret it. Let's end here with Ezekiel. Hallelujah. A prophet. I'm counting on your integrity that you thumbed it up. I told you what I was going to do. I told you I was going to show you that silver and gold ain't going to cut it for you. Stop listening to these liars. They're just trying to monetize you. Make you the product by buying their gold and silver to raise up the money. They going to cash it in while you holding on to it. And then by the time you figure out what happened, they going to have the cash and you going to have the gold. You know what I'm saying? When the European went to Africa, the African had, the treasure, and the Europeans had the New Testament. By the time they left, the African had the New Testament in Jesus, and the Europeans owned all of Africa. What happens when you listen to your enemies? When you make deals and you make partnerships with your enemies and their religions, their gods. Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 17 says, Son of Adam, I've made you the watchman into the house of Joshua. Therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give warning to them from me. And when I say unto the wicked, you shall surely die, and you don't give them warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from their wicked ways. So when I'm telling you what you're doing is wrong, that's what I'm supposed to do. You're supposed to listen. But you won't. Many of you. I'm not talking about all of you. You know who you are. He said, when I say unto you the wicked, you shall surely die, but you don't give them a warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from their wicked way, to save their life. That same wicked man will die because he didn't listen. But his blood will require your hand because you didn't tell him. Verse 19, and yet if you warn the wicked, and he don't turn from his wickedness, don't want to listen, nor from their wicked ways, gonna keep doing what they're doing, he shall die because of his own iniquity. But you have delivered your soul. So listen or don't listen. That's a choice you got to make, brothers and sisters. But you're not changing Yahuwah's way. You're not going to change the mind of his prophet. And I don't need validation from a people full of lies. I don't. I want my validation from Yahuwah. He called me. And only he can dismiss me. That being said, I hope you found this is, the name of this channel, DFG End of Day Messenger. So if you're looking for fluffy, then I guess you better go run over there to Joe Osteen. I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to hear over there, or whomever you listen to. You're looking for good news when all hell about to break out. Well, I'm sorry, I don't have no good news for you. You want somebody to tell you, oh no, the future is bright, everything's gonna be all right, don't worry. My name ain't Bob Marley. You think about everything gonna be all right, and what, a few years after that song, his ass was dead from cancer. So I guess it wasn't gonna be all right for him, was it? The singing prophet. But say to the wise you would not listen, so warn to you. Now you what? Marked for damnation. But then again, what Daniel say? The wise will understand, right? James chapter 12. But the wicked would not understand. But he said the wise that understood, brothers and sisters. Let's look at that. I know I told you we were done, but we're done when we're done. And some of y'all need to pay your debt. Don't be no liar. We here exposing liars. And liars who saying Yahuwah told them to tell us something, tell me something. Yahuwah ain't told you no such thing. Don't even try it. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. In that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince will stand for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, which we're in, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that is found written in the book of the cipher. This is that what Ezekiel was, Ezra, the world was made for many, but only few would be saved. He's talking about them, us. People who are written in the cipher, the redeemed of Yahuwah, the obedient of Yahuwah, the contrite of Yahuwah, those who trust in him completely and follow directions. Like these men told Joshua, we're going to follow you as we follow Moses, as Moses followed Yahuwah. We're going to follow you. If anybody go against you, Joshua, we're going to kill them. And Caleb, Joshua's, warrior brother was right there in that group, said, I'm going to support you too, Joshua. I don't care. You and I were the only two that had faith to trust in Yahuwah, but Yahuwah put you in charge, so guess what, Joshua? I'm listening to you just like everybody else. I'm not going to let my ego get in the way, because Yahuwah chose you. He chose you for a reason. I'm here to help, and that's what I'm going to do. And later on, we know in Joshua chapter 15, verse 7 to be exact, Caleb got his reward. Say, Joshua, we got an enemy. They're all done. We destroyed them all. I'm 85 years old, but I still have the strength as though I was 40. Now, there's some stuff you owe me. And Joshua said, you better believe it. Here it is, my brother. Hallelujah. That's how a righteous man behaved, like Caleb behaved towards Joshua. Never got jealous, never got envy, stood with him 10 toes down, 2 fists up. Praise Yahuwah for Caleb. And I hope there are more Calebs out there among you, my brother. Verse 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust shall wake, some to everlasting life, some to shame, and the contempt of fire. He said, and the wise shall shine as the brightness of the sky. And those that turn many to righteousness, that's what this teaching is about. Teach, inform, and educate. Those that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. There you are. There we are. Yahuwah's word. I want to thank you, my brothers and sisters, who support this work. Yahuwah will bless you 100-fold. I'll ask again that you stum up this message to fight off the enemy who don't want it to go anywhere. Share this message, Brother Lance, boot, for example. You know, a little birdie told me that, you know, they went over where you are. You are sharing all these videos. So thank you, Brother Lance. My brothers and sisters, this is where we are. The tide has turned against man. Yahuwah is judging this earth. Question you should be asking yourself, when that fire starts to burning hot, will you be behind the shield of truth? Or will you be in the masquerade of sorcery and divination of lies? You decide. Shalom, y'all.